Thank you again, gentlemen. I'm going to go off script here for the next question, so listen up just a little bit. I think you've answered the question that we were going to ask quite well, the one that you just answered. So I'm going to go off script just a little bit, but and I might get fired as being a moderator for doing this, but you know, I'm standing here. So in my world, the economy, I understand that 70% of the economy is driven by the consumer. And 70% of all people that are employed, as Senator Lawson pointed out, are employed by small businesses. So we have both the consumer and we have small businesses that we'd be concerned about. My question is this: the big concern that we have in the financial world is, will the consumer come back? And to Representative Spiegelman's points a minute ago, will they come back with the same amount of strength they had before this started? And my question to you, gentlemen, is do you have any ideas, maybe in the form of reducing taxes, fees, bureaucratic red tape, things that can get our economy kick-started again moving forward? And what are they? And we'll start with Senator Lawson.
David, thank you for the off-script. Not a problem. What we need to do to get the economy back up and running has been stated around the table. To build confidence in the consumer is going to be extremely difficult. I don't think cutting red tape or any of those things are going to instill confidence in the consumer. It may in fact give the business some strength to hang on till the consumers come back. But as we know, it's 5 times harder to bring a customer back than it was to keep them. And now we're into that battle trying to bring them back. It's even harder than that maybe. But government needs to get out of the way. Government has been the problem in Delaware that has held this economy down. The rest of the country was booming and Delaware is barely burping. And it's just ridiculous. We are not getting anywhere the way we are. We need to get off the backs of small business. We need to make sure that the red tape to get a business started is reduced, and one stop should be sufficient to get a business up and running, and lessen the gross receipt taxes. Oh my goodness. Delaware doesn't have a sales tax? Yeah, we do. That's not true. We need to get rid of the gross receipt tax and let businesses move forward and quit hiding it as that it's not a sales tax. Yes, it is. If we're going to have a sales tax, let's have it, but let's not play games with it, and that's what we're doing. There's a lot of red tape that hinders business, and that is something that government just absolutely loves. It loves to have its hands in everything and mess business up because they've never been involved in it. So there are a lot of things that we can do from the government, getting them off of this, getting them off the backs, and let the consumers come back out and quit having to pick 1 out of 4 doors or all 4 doors, Jeff. It's just goofy the way it's being done. Trust the businesses, trust the public, and this COVID will be a thing of the past and hope never to repeat itself. Thank you.
You know, the state of Delaware continues to say that we're business friendly, and I think that over the past 40 years we've gotten that title obviously from the corporations that we get here, but a lot of them have nothing but a headquarters here, but we get that business friendly name and title to the state of Delaware. What we really need is the title of small business friendly, and I have not seen that as a small business owner, owning 2 small businesses in the state of Delaware. When I go to start a small business, and I've done it twice over the last 10 years, and I call to get resources, I need somebody to walk my hand through if I don't know what's going on, and that's not happening. When I call up there, I need somebody to tell me the steps that I need to take and what office I need to go to. Right now is a time where we need to look at the past 40 years of small business policy and say this needs to change. And this really can be the impetus to start at this COVID-19, because I think a lot of the curtains have been drawn back, and we have seen there are hundreds and hundreds of policies throughout every industry that are anti-small business. For example, we just recently set up another small business in Delaware, another newspaper business, and the one thing that I found striking, we tried to set up healthcare for all of our employees. And I found out, we have a payroll service, and payroll services allow to have healthcare, and the reason that they can do that at such a small level is because they have, they have a nationwide reach, and it was perfect for our business. And I was told over and over and over again by these payroll services that they do not do business in Delaware. They cannot legally do business, have healthcare provided in the state of Delaware. And that is just one of hundreds and hundreds of policies that are anti-small business. I went to the state chamber to discuss and see if they had a policy, and they said the same thing. They used to have health care for their members, and they don't have health care for their members anymore because of state policies that have been put into place. So, and that is one example of hundreds of policies that we need to change. So I think we can take the chambers of the state, we can take the legislators that are business friendly, small business friendly, we can take you all and create policies that actually reflect what a business friendly state looks like, not just to large corporations.
So as I sit here, I got a text actually from one of your members, Judy, who said she just went to a restaurant, and because of the problems in Delaware, she went to her first restaurant in 3 months in Maryland. Great. That's just wonderful. So I guess, will the consumers come back? To the consumers, if you're a consumer out there, let me just say that we're trying, and we miss you, please. We're trying, please.
I would offer three things that I would hope might encourage in the long run for consumers to come back. One, and probably the least important of all, I introduced a bill last year to streamline regulations and to see that they were reviewed every 4 or 5 years to see if they were still necessary, to get rid of a lot of archaic rules. It didn't even get a committee hearing. Second, I think one of the things that are going to help give people confidence is that consistency. It's been talked about by several of my colleagues here today of the inconsistency of regulations, of what they find in different stores, how confusing it is, and people get a little frustrated and don't want to come back. I think the third thing that's really important is that there has been a culture of fear about this disease. It's been enhanced and hyped by the media, but it's also been propagated by the governor, who seems to have a matrix that if there is one more episode of COVID, we can't move. If there's one new case, we're still paralyzed. And I think what we have to understand is, yes, we can move forward. Yes, we can control and adapt and service those needs. We do not need a culture of fear that says, oh, we're all doomed if we breathe 2 deep breaths. And so that culture needs to change. The fear needs to go away. We can do business, and we can be consistent, and we can be friendly, and we want business to come back.
First off, I want to answer your question, and then I'm going to answer a question that I want to answer that you haven't asked. I think we probably should not hold our breath and expect any revenue reductions in regard to tax reductions in regard to our gross receipts tax, our realty transfer tax, our title transfer tax, the fees that we increased on alcohol, tobacco, on down the list. I would not expect any of us to hold our breaths expecting the current executive branch to advocate that sort of process to look at how we can spur our economy by lowering taxes. Now, the question that I want to answer that you didn't ask is that during the process of what we can do to respond to the virus and how to stimulate our economy, I drafted several pieces of legislation. One piece of legislation was to reduce the realty transfer tax for a first-time home buyer from the 1.25% to completely eliminating it, to try to increase sales of new homes, or existing homes, to first-time home buyers. A second piece of legislation was to go back to the time that we were not allowing car dealerships to be open, that again, for means testing individuals buying cars, that we would reduce the title transfer tax for those individuals. Now, in all good faith, as we were debating how we were going to meet in person as a General Assembly or virtually, it was stated to us that we were going to work on legislation primarily driven around our 3 money bills, and that was it. So the question that I'm bringing out, the point that I want to bring out, is that I would encourage people listening to this that we need to stick to that. That I'm very fearful, and I think my colleagues would agree, that some now very important piece of legislation may slip in that may circumvent the process, the people's process of a committee hearing, public comment, and I'm very concerned about that. That one individual's extremely most important piece of legislation during this crisis time is going to be allowed to slip in. And I caution you to be engaged with that process. Last but not least, in regard to getting our economy back, we're at risk. There's no doubt about it. As I was going through my head, thinking about our leading industries in the state, first and foremost, agriculture, we're very vulnerable to that. We have farmers here at the table that there's pressures that are way outside of our control that's going to impact the agriculture industry. When we look at our financial services and our litigation services, they probably remain fairly